Good day, liberators and fellow South Africans. The purpose of this video is to give a complete summary and highlight where we are at present with all the Liberty Fighters Network court cases and challenges going on, fighting against human rights abuses taking place in the Republic of South Africa. Now, thanks to people like Anton Swanepoel and Johan Strydom from Bethlehem, we are now at the point whereby we realize that the people in South Africa have no clue where we are and what we have achieved. And that is thanks to a total media blackout that we have that have totally ignored our media releases. Notwithstanding that we have been sending out media releases on a regular basis, it has just been ignored. The facts of the COVID-19 pandemic, the real other facts, not the ones government and the mainstream media are constantly telling you, the other side of the coin, have not been told to you. And I don't blame people like Anton Swanepoel and Johan Strydom to be pessimistic and see Liberty Fighters Network as a suspicious organization, not achieving. We just there to grab people's money. So Anton and Johan, this video is for you guys and people like you. Because if there are a Anton and a Johan, there are probably hundreds, if not thousands of others feeling similar, but they have been too scared or to come out and challenge Liberty Fighters Network. And while I'm on that point, I reiterate that if you hear anything negative about Liberty Fighters Network, talk to me, bring it to my attention. Our details are on our website. We've got a landline that can be used during office hours during the week. If you don't get hold of me, write me an email, put it directly to me. You will find the detail on our website. So it's very important that you listen to this video until the end if you are concerned about COVID-19 measures and what all the damages that it probably have caused, and also to what it is in for you and the benefits for the entire country with all our challenges that we are busy with. So without going into further detail, just remember to subscribe to our channel, share this video as wide and possible as you can. People need to know this. It's very important that people listen until the end. Ring the bell and yes, consider joining our channel. But let me go to the nitty-gritty. After we have obtained our 2nd of June court order of 2020, where Justice Norman Davis have formally declared the Disaster Management Act regulations as unconstitutional and invalid, those court cases have escalated through the entire court system of South Africa to the Constitutional Court. We were at the Constitutional Court with this issue on two occasions. And on both those occasions, the Constitutional Court have dismissed our application without giving any reasons whatsoever. And we have put traps for the Constitutional Court that they were obliged to have entertained our matter if they have actually read our papers. So the chances that they have not even read our papers are almost 100%. So then we had no other alternative after the Constitutional Court has not entertained our matter fighting against the human rights abusing parts of the COVID-19 measures. We had no other option but to escalate it to the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, and that happened during October 2021. And I just want to say this, that Liberty Fighters Network is the only organization in the entire world, people. And please go and check this for yourself if you just want to get the facts. But Liberty Fighters Network is the only organization in the entire world which have gone through the entire local court process in their own country, starting from the High Court up till the Constitutional Court, and reached a point whereby they can't go further internally or locally and had to escalate it to an international forum, which the African Commission on Human and People's Rights is. It's a division of the African Union. No other organization in the entire world has achieved this, people. We're the only ones which have followed the correct route. You cannot go to an international forum until you have proved that you have exhausted the local remedies, all the local remedies first, and that is exactly what we did. So let me show you this application, this complaint before the African Union. There it is, against the Republic of South Africa. And very important are the background. And people, there we've stated here all the abuses. There's quite a number of numbers, points that we have made there. And here we have even cited 5 reported cases, excluding the 2 that went to the Constitutional Court, where Liberty Fighters Network have actually fought against government, the implementation of these COVID-19 measures, or those parts that we said were human rights abusing or violating basic human rights. So there's our complaint, and what is going to come from this complaint eventually is that the African Union or the African Commission will or is already investigating the background of our complaint, and they then will go and request from the government to state their case, and there will be a proper investigation on who is right, who is wrong, is our complaint over exaggerating, should it be dismissed, or should they, by way of this international African Union treaty and this structure that South Africa is a member of, will they then be able to force sanctions on South Africa? Will they demand from South Africa to rectify, to remunerate, compensate, to make some sort of retribution to the people? But people, that is going on. This international case is continuing, and that is currently the measurement for all international challenges, because we said that the African Commission or the African Union, from all the international forums, they are the less compromised. There's a lot of African states which are still very conservative, and they don't subscribe to colonial intervention, the westernization of Africa. They don't subscribe to that. So there's a good chance, if there is an international forum, this is the forum which can make or break the fight against human rights violations connected to those negative COVID-19 measures that have been implemented. So there has been this other guy from Germany, Dr. Fulmich, which have been very much on social media about his human rights, or the his Nuremberg trials that he wants to start. People, there's no case, there's no court cases that he have done. You have just got all these experts, and people were following him, and he was subversive, according to us, respectfully said. There's no track record in anything that he and his group has actually achieved. And yes, he's more than welcome to also criticize what we were doing and what we are doing, but from our perspective, there's nothing. When you go and search on any internet search engine of your choice, you will find that there's no Supreme Court of Appeal case, or a Constitutional Court, or a Supreme Court case whatsoever. So, but people have followed him, and they are still following him, just like they still believe that Donald Trump is the savior of the world. And that has turned out to be a total mess, isn't it? A misconception. He's nowhere to be found. But in any event, let me just quickly go back to our current cases. Now, the Health Act, health regulations, we have lodged this application on the 6th of May, challenging the amendment that took place on the 4th of May to introduce several questionable COVID-19 measures in the regulations relating to the surveillance and the control of notifiable medical conditions. Now, this matter was soon followed with applications by AfriForum, DSA, Solidarity, and Sakeliga. All of them are connected in one way or the other. All roads lead to Solidarity Trade Union. AfriForum is a creature from Solidarity. DSA and AfriForum, they always in the same vicinity and using the same attorneys, and Sakeliga used to be AfriSake, so they also creature of the Solidarity AfriForum. So that it's strange that all of these organizations have suddenly jumped on the bandwagon to challenge these amendments after Liberty Fighters Network have done that first. But in any case, that very matter has escalated to a point where a record was produced, and then suddenly, while we have planned, or while there was a hearing set before a full court between the 25th and the 27th of July, the minister, just as quickly as he published the amendment, he then went and repealed most of that amendment. And this is very interesting. This happened on the 22nd of June when he repealed those regulations again. But he left something very, very interesting intact. And the part, although he took away the measures that it's not necessary to wear the mask and even the vaccination and everything, that all are gone, and that it was what we actually wanted, he left the part where COVID-19 has been added to table 2 of those very regulations as a not so serious disease than those ones in table 1 where it used to have been. COVID-19 used to have been a table 1 notifiable disease, meaning that it had to be reported immediately. But now it's still a disease that needs to be reported only within 7 days. It's not as bad as those in table 1. Why did he not just repeal the entire amendment, but specifically left this part? This is very strange, don't you think? But now, although we had numerous of issues, and this is a video on its own at the end of the day about the way that AfriForum, DSA, Sakeliga, and Solidarity have actually prosecuted these cases similar like the one of Liberty Fighters Network. What we did, the moment when those regulations have been repealed, the minister jumped on the bandwagon very quickly to say, I've repealed it. It was a normal legislative process. It was not a settlement to your cases. So the entire matter has now become moot, and there's no need to proceed to the full court hearing at the end of July. You are given the opportunity to withdraw your cases, or I am going to ask the court to mull you with legal costs. So we then, Liberty Fighters Network, said, but you're not going to get out of this. We were the very and the only organization, people, between AfriForum, Solidarity, DSA and Sakeliga, who then asked the minister to also deliver his record pertaining to the decision to have repealed those regulations. That would have been an obvious move, won't you say? But none of those legal teams, 3 different legal teams of these organizations, none of them have requested that very record. We Liberty Fighters Network was the only one who did it. But we went a step further. We then filed a notice to amend our papers, and now we are asking the minister to say, well, we now have divided it into part A, which was the part previously before court, but now we have added the part B for the minister to now also, let me highlight this for you, to provide the record pertaining to the decision to have published the draft health regulations on the 15th of March, and also to the decision which have led to the repeal of those amendments dated the 22nd of June. So we have now formally, and it has been accepted, this amendment has now been formally accepted by the health minister to proceed in the normal course. And now the health minister is obliged to produce that very record pertaining to the draft. What encouraged the minister to decide to publish the draft to these health regulations, which have not been repealed, people? Those draft regulations are still open for comment up till the 5th of August this 2022. So that effectively means that from the 5th of August, if we don't challenge the draft, the minister may continue to legally now implement those very draft amendments he wanted us to accept since the 15th of March this year. Solidarity, AfriForum, DSA and Sakeliga have not done this. Liberty Fighters Network is the only one who has now done this, but we've even gone a step further. We have now, in this amendment that is now before the court, asked the court that the matter be referred to trial with appropriate directions as to pleadings or definition of issues or otherwise. So now we are saying that, Health Minister, this is now the time that this matter needs to go to trial. We want your, above others, Professor Abdul Karim, to be interviewed, to be cross-examined in court of whether COVID-19 is indeed a new novel disease, whether the SARS-CoV-2 virus has indeed been isolated, and during those period or during a trial, we can even ask the court to do an in loco inspection, meaning that the court will physically go to a laboratory to not only view and see this SARS-CoV-2 virus through the electron microscope, but they, with our experts that we're going to bring in, will ask him now we'll question him about whether the SARS-CoV-2 virus has been isolated. If the virus has never been isolated, yes, they did say it has been isolated, but neither me nor you have seen it. So we only take them on their word that the virus has been isolated. We want the court to now see whether it has been isolated or not by way of a trial. So people, Solidarity and AfriForum, DSA and Sakeliga have not amended their papers. They are continuing to this 25th to the 27th July hearing, which would effectively only be to argue the matter surrounding costs. Because the attorneys and the parties are concerned whether the government will be paying their legal costs. That's the only reason why these organizations are continuing slapping a dead horse. If they really had the concern of the people of South Africa at hand, they would have done exactly what we have asked the health minister. It should be logic to anyone. We even go another step further. And let me show this to you. On the 3rd of May, we have issued an application, no, the 3rd of June, sorry people, against the South African Health Products Regulatory Authority to review their approval, their Section 15 registration of 5 COVID-19 vaccines. In stealth, 5 vaccines allegedly have been formally and fully registered with the South African Health Products Regulatory Authority. At a time when none of them, and not even one vaccine, has been approved for COVID-19 by the World Health Organization. If the clinical trials eventually end, the first COVID-19 vaccine approval, formal approval by the World Health Organization, will only be expected next year. So we are asking SAPRA, how was it possible for you to finally register 5 vaccines for COVID-19 if the trials, the clinical trials, have not even been completed by the World Health Organization? What has happened? How was that able to have been done? That's the one case currently pending before the court too. We are awaiting the full record of those decisions. Then another one, there's this other case against the Minister of Cooperative Governance issued on the 14th of June, where we are physically challenging or asking the minister to provide us with a complete record pertaining to the termination of the national state of disaster for COVID-19. If we get the record, why the national state of disaster was terminated, we compare it to the records of SAPRA regarding the vaccines, and we compare it to the records for the health minister to have made and repealed all those regulations, we will surely, at the end of the day, know very well whether the people of South Africa have been deceived by our government, which we at present believe we have, or we're going to get the proof that the entire COVID-19 pandemic was totally legitimate, and our skeptics, or the so-called COVID-19 denialists, as what a captured Supreme Court of Appeal bench have dealt Liberty Fighters Network, can then come to terms to say, okay, the court has now finally looked into this entire matter on a trial basis, and at the end of the day have decided that based on the information and the experts from both sides of the coin, the court has now determined, and hopefully the court will not be captured as those ones before, will determine to say that yes, COVID-19 is a legitimate pandemic and those measures have been necessary, or the court is going to come out and say, well, we have been deceived. Liberty Fighters Network only wants the truth. In this respect, we are going to court on a total independent basis. We are not funded like all these other organizations by mass funders. We are funded by people who make voluntary donations to us. So we doing this as a full-time work, and it's taking a full-time job to achieve what we are achieving and what we are doing. It's not, if you know how the legal system works and how legal challenges work, you will realize that everything has got a track record and everything can be checked. Go and check Liberty Fighters Network. Go and Google our names. Go and duck our names, whatever the case may be. Go and search for us, and you will find the truth, what we have been doing. People, Hopefully this has given you some indication on where we are and where we are heading. As I've said, please share this as far and wide as possible with everyone, because the people need to know what we are doing, where we are heading, and then the sinister ways in which organizations, as I have mentioned in here, have conducted their own cases, to turn out eventually that they are only interested in getting their legal costs paid by the government. And as you know, we don't make use of attorneys and advocates. We are there to fight it in our own names as lay litigants. And we are doing this as members and citizens of South Africa. Nothing else. We are extremely grateful for each and every voluntary donation that we receive to keep us going. And we only receive enough to keep our roofs over our heads and also the food on our table. We don't have luxuries of whatsoever kind. So anyone who thinks that we are living lavish lifestyles, we are living we've got all these luxuries, I invite you to my home. Come and see whether you see anything extravagant. People, I was maybe just a bit set back by negative comments by people like Anton and Johan, but I don't blame them. They did not have the information because the mainstream media don't share this with you. So, Johan, Anton, hopefully after hearing this or listening to this video and watching it, you, like others similar like you, would really know that Liberty Fighters Network is indeed fighting hands-on. We are at the real front of this fight. People, I thank each one of you for your support, and thanks again to our dear Lord Jesus Christ and God, who have given us the guidance to have come this far, and to keep me humble. That's very important. I need to stay humble as far as possible and keep my feet solidly on the ground. And people, if you ever see me trying to alleviate myself to greater heights than anyone else, please let me know, and so that I can just let go. We're all in the same fight at the end of the day. God bless each one of you. Stay safe until the next time.